Hello crypto world, welcome back. Kurt Connolly here at the Decent.bet base camp in Vegas. I have Jedidiah Taylor with me here. We're coming to you with our second video, and we're going to be talking about the house. Just to recap, on our last video, you obviously are aware that we are a gambling platform that offers slots, sports books, and a couple other things that we'll mention at a later date.
Sure.
And we're gonna go over a few things today, and the video is going to cover a bunch of what we feel is probably the most important things we need to explain, so you can clearly understand what the house is.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
But before I get into that, I'm going to give you a bit of a try and simplify it in real world terms. If you were on the gaming floor at Caesars, which we often are.
Beautiful casino. Beautiful casino.
If you were on the floor at Caesars Palace and the CEO came down, made an announcement and said, I'm going to give 100 people the opportunity to own a part of Caesars Palace here in Las Vegas. And to do so, you're going to give me some money. A percentage will be issued to you and you will own a piece of Caesars. And at the end of every quarter, Caesars Palace will give you a percentage of their profits back to you for your contribution to your investment. Would that sound like a good idea to you?
Yeah, I'd be in.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
If you've ever been to Caesars Palace, you know they're crushing it. If you've ever been to Las Vegas, you know casinos are crushing it. The city didn't come from anywhere, and they just seem to build billion-dollar facility after billion-dollar facility, and that money comes from somewhere. Yeah. So Caesar said you could have a piece of it.
I'm all in.
Sign me.
And trust me, we've been sitting in Caesars watching the kind of money go across those tables.
Yes, yes.
So one of the first things that we're going to cover today is D-bet tokens. What D-bet tokens are, how do you use D-bet tokens, who can use D-bet tokens. So I'm going to kick it off to Jed and just say, can you give us an explanation what the tokens are and how they're used?
Sure. Yeah. So a D-bet token is our currency. It's the cryptocurrency that we've created. But there's actually three main uses of the currency. The first one would be to simply invest. Right? Traditional cryptocurrencies, you buy them, you hold them based on the expectation that they're going to raise in value. So if you wanted to invest in D-bet tokens in Decent.bet, you can simply buy our tokens and hope for those gains or that increase in value. The second way you can use them, as we experienced at Caesars Palace,
they take my money.
Yes, they don't give it back. If you were to sit down, if you've ever gambled, if you were to sit down at a casino table and want to play, the first thing you'd do is you'd give them money, and in return for that money, they'd give you chips, and those chips are what you would use to enjoy yourself and to partake in the various games that they offer. Same thing with D-bet tokens, is you would purchase D-bet tokens to partake in the games and the enjoyment that comes with playing in a casino, and that would be like our chip that you would use to gamble.
Yeah.
The third and final way, which is really the core, I think, of the video, is our house concept. So you could buy the tokens and actually contribute them to the house, meaning that you are participating in the profit sharing of the house. And those tokens would be tied up for a session, which I think we're going to elaborate on.
Right, yeah, we'll go into a little bit more detail on the sessions.
So those tokens would be tied up for a session. At the end of that session, you would have the option to take all your tokens back, plus whatever realized profits or losses there are. I apologize for having to mention the word losses. We do not guarantee profits. I think we all know the house clearly always wins. We see it at Caesars in downtown Las Vegas every day.
What casino doesn't win, right?
Absolutely. But just as being responsible to the community, you know, we can't make any assumptions that it's strictly profits. At the end of the day, it is the bottom line of the casino. And what the house fund essentially is this bucket of D-bet tokens that is used to pay winners as well as receive losses from losers. The net of that equation are the profits of the casino, and that's what we'll actually distribute to the fund holders.
Right. Okay. Pretty clear. How does a community or how do users actually participate in the house?
And that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer 4 sessions a year that are broken down into 3-month timeframes. So A week before the session were to start, the community would have the option to declare that they would like to participate in the fund. So they would say, this is that I do want to participate, and this is the level of participation that I want to have, meaning this is how many DBET tokens I'm going to invest into the house model. And that would get you kind of hooked up, I guess, for that session, allow you to take part.
Okay, so at the end of a session, do I just cash my DBET tokens out, or can I roll it over to another session? Like, how does that work? You know, like at the end, I don't know what's going on. Like, does it just get handed back to me? What's the philosophy behind that?
Sure. So we'll notify all the participants as well as everyone in the community that a session is about to end. And at the end of every session means another session is about to start.
Right, yeah.
Right? Okay. So they actually roll into one another. So what we're going to do is we're going to carve out this week time frame period before the end of the session. So the last week of the session is everyone's opportunity to participate into the fund, any kind of newcomers, as well as the current participants can declare if they'd like to withdraw everything, their investment as well as their profits or losses.
Right.
If they'd like to withdraw a portion and roll a portion over, or they clearly have the option to roll the whole thing over. Okay. So we kind of put it back into everybody's hands and say, what do you want to do?
Okay.
And you have every option available to you.
Right. I noticed in our Slack groups and our Facebook, and I mean people calling us on the phone, a lot of people are reading our white paper and going, you're giving back 100% of the profits.
Yeah.
How could we possibly be giving back 100%? I know, but the community doesn't know,
Sure.
right?
and I get this question, I don't know how often. How do you make money? Or how do the founders make money? Not you all. Us all. How do we make money if we're giving back 100% of the profits? That was very, very strategic and very conscious, the way that we constructed the business model. And so obviously at ICO, founders get a share of tokens. We didn't want to take anything but that, because we felt if we weren't 100% aligned with the community's interests, then that didn't mean we were like this family that was kind of in it together kind of thing. So we make zero money. We're a not-for-profit business, no profit business model, however you want to phrase it. And our interests, how we actually make money, is through that founder share of token allocation. And we make money if the value of that token raises. We've actually locked our tokens up. All founder shares are locked up for an entire year, meaning we have to perform. There's no other way for us to make money. Again, we take zero profits. So we are only successful if and when you're successful. And that's through running the company in a way that allows it to grow.
Right.
And it allows it to build, add value, continually adding value back to the community. If we're successful doing that, clearly the value of the token would rise, and that's how we would make money. If we're unsuccessful doing that, there's zero profits to go around. So that means we don't make anything.
Right, so the token's got to go from like a 20-cent token to like a $1 token in a period of time, and that's where we're making our money.
So that's what we're counting on, is we're counting on our ability to execute this business in a way that adds value to all of you, and in return adds value to us as well. So.
Great. So I think we've covered DBET tokens, we've covered how the community participates, and I think we've summarized the sessions. But what I think we need to do is run through an example.
Sure.
So I'm going to get you to run through an example, try and simplify this right down, and someone investing some money in, what their percentage they would return, and we'll just try and simplify this right down.
Sure. So I'm going to use just DBET tokens for the example, and everybody could do the math based on X value of token, whatever value you want to put on the token, break it down into dollar figures. That's up to you. I'm just going to use DBET tokens in this example. So I'm just going to pick a name out of the air. Let's say Bob. Bob contributes 1,000 DBET tokens into the house. The community as a whole contributed 100,000 DBET tokens to the house. So Bob owns 1% of the total contribution. In return for his 1% contribution, Bob receives 1% of the total profits over the course of that session. Now let's say hypothetically, during that session, the house was able to profit 40,000 D-bet tokens. Then Bob, with his 1% share of those 40,000 D-bet tokens, would receive 400 D-bet tokens. So Bob invested 1,000 D-bet tokens into the quarter. At the end of that quarter, he received 400 D-bet tokens back on top of his $1,000 initial investment. So now Bob has 1,400 D-bet tokens, or a 40% return over the course of that session.
Okay, so that's a pretty good example. So just another question, how many people can participate in the house? I mean, if I'm Bob and I put in my 1%, how many is made up of the 10,000 D-bet tokens? Is it 100? Is it 2? Is it 5? What is it?
Sure, there's no requirement as to how many participants can actually participate.
Okay, right.
So it could be 20, it could be 30, it could be 50, it could be 10,000. Ultimately depend on the community and how many people want to contribute and participate in addition to Bob.
Okay. Another thing we get a lot, and we go back to the 100%, we're giving back 100% profits. But in our white paper, we talk about 95% of the profits has to do with the house, but then we have this side 5%. Can you elaborate on the 5%, how it works, what it's involved, and how do I be involved in that 5%?
Yes. So the big question, I think, is how do I get involved in that?
Right.
I want a piece of that.
Yeah, I know.
I want that 5%. So how do you participate in what it is? That 5% is going to our Strike It Rich lottery, the Decent.bet Strike It Rich lottery. So how you get an entry into our lottery is by participating in the fund. And depending on your level of participation, that will define how many entries you get into the raffle. But we do plan on capping the amount of entries to level the playing field.
Right.
That everybody has somewhat of an equal chance to win the lottery. So at the end of the session, 95% will be paid out to the fund participants. That 5% through the lottery, we're actually, I believe we'll probably go live.
Right. No, we have to go live because I want to see the reactions of the people in the
yes,
funds.
and we with everything we do, we want to have that transparent nature to it, right? So we want everybody to know that it was completely at random, and the way that we'll go about that is through a random number generator, which can be verified and is transparent on the blockchain, so everybody will know it was a completely random pick on who won, but one individual at the end of that session will be selected at random, and they will receive 5% of the total profits for that quarter.
So to put that into context, if I'm Bob and there's 100 people in the fund, I have a 1 in 100 chance of winning the 5% of the overall profit that was made in that 3-month session.
Absolutely right. So you have 1 in 100 chance to win that, plus you have your 95%
profit.
That's coming back to the investor. So you have 2 ways to win. And that was really the thought process behind introducing the lottery, is we wanted to really get the community excited and give everybody 2 opportunities to win, to profit through the Caesars model.
Right. I like those odds.
I like those odds. They're decent odds.
They're decent odds.
As well as the opportunity to strike it rich, where we really hope to change some lives.
Totally.
That 5% hopefully over time really gets to a big number, and we cannot wait to see who that impacts and how it impacts their lives. Yeah. It should be magical.
It should be amazing, and that dovetails back into the foundations of why Decent.bet is actually made. Sure. The passive income model is the foundations of Decent.bet.
Yeah, and hopefully everyone caught our first video. If you didn't, please go to our YouTube video and check it out, because we dive into kind of why.
Yeah,
right.
The why.
Why did we do this? Why the 100% give back? What are we trying to impact? What are we trying to solve? And to just give you a little teaser of it, is we truly believe the evolution of cryptocurrency is enabling the world to earn through
passive income streams.
Yeah, passive income streams, or I don't even care if down the road it's not passive. As long as we can share opportunity with the world, then you know that's a W.
Yeah.
That's a W for all of us in crypto. We all made it happen together. We've grown this community together, and as that starts to impact more and more people across the world, you know, every one of us should give ourselves a pat on the back, because that's amazing.
Totally. So there you have it. There's a bit of a wrap-up summary of what the house is. Our house is your house.
Yes.
We're going to be bringing you another video shortly. Stay tuned, and we look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Thank you.